Something very bad just happened, and we have to talk about it because it is a very serious thing that we have been putting a spotlight on for the last couple weeks. Now, initially, I do want to start off with a big update to, of course, the market structure bill. So leading up to, earlier today, I was looking at some of the updates regarding the market structure bill. Number one, we got the draft of it. They released a draft, which was great. I was following Eleanor Tourette on X just to kind of go over some of the updates with this. We were getting a lot of, core pieces of this getting released. For an example, we do have over here, just in the full 278-page bipartisan text that has been the product of months of fraught negotiations between Senate Republicans, Democrats, and industry has landed. Now, this is... it's a very lengthy one to go over, so I'm not going to go over it in this video. I do have the PDF file open on the right side of me, but the main thing that I was looking at within this was just some of the key text. Right off the rip, number one, the first big update is, of course, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act would treat XRP, Solana, Litecoin, HBAR, Doge, and Link the same as Bitcoin and Ethereum. I mean, this will most likely regard the entire market. It's just a full classification. This applies if they back exchange-traded products as of January 1st of this year, per Eleanor Tourette. Now, this was definitely a big update. It's good to see. It's positive. However, there's definitely a few other concerning things behind this. Now, we also got an update from Paul Atkins. This is a big week for crypto. Congress is on the cusp of upgrading our financial markets for the 21st century. I am wholly supportive of Congress providing clarity on the jurisdictional split between the SEC and the CFTC. The most important thing we can do right now for investors is bring crypto asset markets out of the regulatory gray zone. Passing bipartisan market structure legislation will help us future-proof against rogue regulators, ensuring that we achieve President Trump's goal to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. I look forward to President Trump signing bipartisan market structure legislation into law in the coming months. Clear and principled rules of the road anchored in bipartisan statutory text will promote innovation in our markets while continuing to protect investors. As David Sachs mentioned, the president has created a financial services regulatory dream team, and I'm eager to work with my counterpart at the CFTC, Michael Selig, and across the administration to implement this monumental legislation in the coming months and years. Check it out, listen closely, and then I will update you guys on a few things.
Well, the Congress passed and the president signed a bill late last year that was called the Genius Act, and that was really seminal. It was the first statute that the United States government has adopted to recognize a crypto asset. So that was great, and it helped to bring clarity also to stable coins. And so now comes the next step, a good bipartisan effort by both houses of Congress to bring certainty to the market structure regarding cryptocurrencies. And this fits in with the president's focus on making America the crypto capital of the world. So if you have clear legislation and clear rules, then you have certainty in the marketplace. And so I think, we're behind it. We are very bullish on the effects of a bill getting to the president to be signed this year. And I think that'll really be a huge help to the crypto marketplace and for investors in that.
Now, obviously, yes, this is a very big update. We have been following this for a while. However, it seems as though this is getting delayed and pushed back. There was a few updates from Eleanor that we were following. This is the first one from yesterday on the 12th, which was bye-bye dueling markups. Per Chairman John Boozman and Senate AG Committee is punting its markup on crypto market structure to the last week in January instead of holding it as originally planned on Thursday at the same time as the Senate Banking Committee. Boozman cites more time needed to maintain bipartisan support. Now, on top of this, we have this is bad, right? And we have not really. The bill needs Democratic votes to pass the full Senate, or it's essentially dead on arrival. With only 53 GOP senators, Senate rules require 60 votes, a 3-5 majority, to reach cloture. Boozman and Booker are likely weighing a higher chance of clearing the Senate against the cost of another 2-week delay. Now, on top of that, we did get another update regarding this, which is of course the Senate AG Committee Chair, John Boozman, just released the expected schedule of the committee's rescheduled markup, which is now set to be held on Tuesday, January 27th at 3 p.m. ET. So again, it seems as though this is getting pushed out a bit, and we're starting to see more and more delays regarding this as well. But does this mean that it's completely delayed? Well, over here, we do have from Milk Road, there's some confusion around the Clarity Act, so here's what's actually going on. John Boozman, the ranking Republican of the Senate Agriculture Committee, is delaying the committee's markup until late January to give negotiations time to lock in bipartisan support. His committee oversees the CFTC side of the legislation, which covers commodities, derivatives, and spot market oversight. The AG committee doesn't yet have full bipartisan alignment to move its markup forward cleanly, and advancing without the support risk a weak or stalled outcome later in the process. Importantly, this is only one track. The Senate Banking Committee, though, on the other hand, has its own jurisdiction and markup is happening on the 15th as planned, but both committees' work needs to converge before anything reaches the full Senate. Final passage requires 60 votes out of the 100 senators. The extra time is being used to line up votes and align the language across committees so the bill that moves can actually clear the Senate. Now, the only issue with that 27th, right, the January 27th date is that this is also very close to the government shutdown date. This could push things out quite a bit. I would argue that with how things are looking right now, I mean, listen, one update could change anything, right? Like a major delay comes out and boom, it just changes the time frame. I would argue that we're probably not going to see this get passed by the end of Q1 anymore. I'm changing my overall idea here. I think that this is going to get pushed out. I think that this is going to get delayed, potentially even into midterms, which if that is the case, it's probably not going to happen this year. But I'm hopeful that we can get it done before midterms, but it's looking unlikely with how they're, kind of slow stepping this. We'll have to see what happens, but this really isn't the big issue here. In fact, the biggest problem that we are starting to see is overregulation of DeFi. Here we have new. This is a part, of course, this goes right back to Clarity. This is all a part of the same regulation. New yield update. Banks may have won this round on stablecoin yield. The latest draft, page 189, says companies cannot pay interest just for holding balances. You can earn rewards, but only if they're tied to opening an account or activity like making transactions, staking, providing liquidity, putting up collateral, or participating in network governance. Senators now have 48 hours to make amendments to this text, so unclear if these provisions will stay the same for Thursday. Yeah, well, Judgment Day is here, and we need to make sure that this is not included. This is very concerning. We also have over here, Congress already gave the banks a gift in the Genius Act by prohibiting yield-bearing stablecoins. There was no good policy reason for it to begin with, and it killed a whole class of innovative crypto products. Now the banks want to mess up market structure with more? No way. And yeah, that's because if we go over here to the Chief Policy Officer at Coinbase, the Senate Banking Committee marks up the market structure bill next week, aka today. And stablecoin rewards remain under debate. Congress already settled this in Genius. Reopening it now only creates uncertainty and risks the future of the US dollar as commerce moves on chain. Here's why Congress should protect the Genius Act and why rewards help consumers without harming community banks. Now, we went over this post already. The main thing that we are looking at here is the fact that big banks are terrified of stablecoin yield because it completely cuts into their business model and they do not want that. But also at the same exact time, we already know that China is beginning to pay interest on digital yuan. This is at the same time that the US is trying to cut off yield. We cannot do that because again, we are in a tech race. And China is already noticing the signs of weakness in certain areas. This is one that they found. At the same exact time, though, we are starting to see more and more attention to this. We have here new. Senate banking staff just had a call with crypto leaders. I've heard and relayed that TradFi's demands to alter stablecoin yield rules are gaining traction in bipartisan negotiations on market structure bill. We also have here that Sen Alsobrooks' proposal to restrict yield to transactions, not deposits, is viable. There are also other options on the table that could involve restricting yield to regulated financial institutions, getting more clarity there. As a sign of current vibes, if it wasn't already evident, Senate staff told crypto leaders they need prayers to get this bill over the finish line by January 15th markup. One source with direct knowledge told me. And you know what's crazy about this is I agree with Nick Carter here. If they want to kill stablecoin yield, we might as well just let the bill die, because again, this is cutting into a big piece of the market. We also have over here from Mike Novogratz. Sad state that Congress cares more about banks' margins than they do about consumers. Both Democrats and even Republicans need to ask, who are they serving? And they're serving the banks. It's very clear that they are serving the banks. They are essentially allowing the big banks to control regulations. They want the big banks to essentially create regulations for this industry so that they do not get replaced. This is a very big concern. It goes back to 2024, right? Back in 2024, we were starting to see the SEC target self-custody and DeFi in a big way. They were sending out major Wells notices to SushiSwap, Uniswap, and even MetaMask. Also, Coinbase Wallet. The SEC registered Coinbase Wallet or claimed that it was an unregistered broker. This was a big concern. However, if we're starting to target stablecoin yield, that's a big blow to DeFi. This is a very big concern. Obviously, we alleviated this problem with the new SEC, which was great to see, but we're still getting attacked by big bankers. And now they're using all the power that they can to control regulations. I'm sorry. I know that I am a utility maxi in this space, but I will not support regulations that's choking out and killing a big piece of this industry. I would argue one of the founding pieces of crypto anyways. Like, this was one of the biggest selling points for crypto early on. Getting away from, the controlled yield that bankers put on savings accounts just to, choke out as much revenue as possible. While you, the consumer, makes practically nothing by having them hold your money. This is a very big issue. And I know that, we talk about clarity, we talk about regulations being like a big driver for a lot of things in this space. I get it. Clarity is definitely a big deal, but we cannot give up control of the space to the big banks just because we think that, that we think that clarity and, regulations are going to, cause us to get rich. We cannot give up control like this. We are essentially letting bankers rewrite the regulations for the space. This is a very, very dangerous update. So listen, if we don't, it's hard to say. This is probably going to get pushed into, the markup. This is probably going to be a part of the markup, because if we go back to that update from Eleanor, here we have it. This is already in the draft. So if this is going to get pushed forward, banks won, and they're starting to control the politicians just like we've seen in many years prior. And again, with this getting so close to midterms, I am very concerned about what's happening here. And I think anyone that's in crypto or has been around crypto for a while, if you can't see how dangerous this is, I don't know what to tell you. This is a very big issue. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video.